Okay, I have a review for a program called GIF Brewery 3. It's a new 3.0. It's very new out. As the name implies, 3, there has been a couple previous versions that are probably quite well known, but this one's pretty much made from scratch. It's a brand new major release. If you're watching this right now, within a few days of making this review, it's actually free because it's brand new out, so temporarily it is free. Chances are you won't be watching it that quick, in which case, if you watch it, I think between the 13th and 19th of March 2016, it will be 99 cents. But there's a good chance you'll be watching it after that, in which case, if you watch it after the 19th of March 2016, it'll be $5. Its full normal price is $5, which is still pretty good. So this is the main launch screen. You can look at any patch notes and update notes and basics of using the program. You can click video, and what that does is it will have an open dialog and you can select a video. Then there's a camera, and you'll be able to take a little video from using your web camera or screen. And if you hit screen, you can take a little video from your desktop of anything you're doing, like a game or little video you got playing that you need to record for whatever reason or whatever, the various uses for it. And you can select your frames per second, 24, 30 or 60, show or don't show the mouse, hit record and stop from there. Mostly what you've got to be using this program for is to load a video file, such as from a movie or a trailer or whatever, and you want to take a little funny GIF out of it or whatever. Now, one thing I need to you need to bear in mind here is that it only supports video formats that QuickTime supports because it uses Apple's own framework, such as the QuickTime framework, things like that. So basically, the general rule of thumb is if a video will open and play directly in QuickTime Player 10, QuickTime Player X, then it'll work in this. If it won't load in QuickTime Player, it probably won't load in this. But a lot of programs are like that, especially if they use the framework, Apple's frameworks. So it's something to bear in mind. You may, if you have like an AVI or an MKV, you may have to convert it first. But if it's just a short little clip you want to use, that won't take long anyway, but you will have to use another program for that. So let's just dive right in and open a video. Okay, it opens in a new window, so we can close the window in the background. As you can see, it's a small little window. We can expand it if we want. And as you see, it's a 13-inch monitor I'm on, using a resolution that's quite small. So this being a HD video, it actually is blown right up in this. Now, there's a couple things we can do there. We can go full screen. And there we go, we can see it full screen, although we may still possibly have to scroll if the resolution is really huge, like 1080p or whatever, and we're on a small resolution. But the chances are, if you're making a GIF, you're not going to want your GIF to be too big. Also, that will make the file size too big. So what I tend to do, let's just unfull screen this. I start off normally by going to Movie, Resize, not Crop, Resize. Then I leave Maintain Aspect Ratio on. Now, what this allows us to do is we can go into the width box and hit 640, and then that makes it 640 by 480, at least in the case of this video. If you're using a different resolution, one with a different aspect ratio, it may be something like 640 by 360 or something like that. But that's a good thing about maintain aspect ratio. You don't have to work out what the height needs to be to look right. You just leave this ticked, put in the width you want, and I would recommend probably a width of 640, and let it calculate the height for you. Then we can hit resize. Now you see it fits in the window much better anyway. So that helps with our view and editing. Plus the image you're not going to want so big anyway at the end of the day, and it will make the file size much bigger. Now, this has the best interface I have seen of a GIF maker on Mac. I've used quite a few that allow you to open a video and then make a GIF and then export it, and I've never liked many of their interfaces. I've always found there's not enough features or the interface is clunky. This has a great interface. It's the best GIF maker I have used on Mac. It is really good. I love it. I use it quite a bit. Now, a few things to bear in mind is this is purely to open a video, most likely a .mp4, to make a GIF with. If you already have a .gif, a .gif, you're not going to be able to open it and edit it. You can't open GIFs already made. But what if you wanted to edit one you've already made in this program? Well, if it's a .gif, you're still not going to be able to. But what I recommend is you go to File, Save, and it will save this project. So you can reopen your project and make changes. So if you open this and just save it out as a GIF, you're not going to be able to edit it, and you probably wouldn't be able to in many programs. So I recommend you go to File, Save, and Save a Project. Just like you can in lots of programs, you can save a project, then you also have your final output as a different format. Very simple. Okay, now we have a look at preferences a minute. This isn't on default, I don't believe, because I think I've edited it because I have used this myself. But these are the settings I recommend anyway. Frames per second, I find 12 is quite good because you want your file size to be as small as possible because you've got to be mostly using your GIFs online, on websites, or on social media. And so I find 12 is a good number of frames per second to have. Not too many, not too few. And I have optimized colors in GIF. That might make the rendering take a little longer, but I find it's worth it. And I have the color count at 64 because it looks good enough, but it's keeping the file size down. You can have that higher and get a much sharper image at in the output, but the file size will be much, much bigger. I also find under algorithm, ordered is best, there's random, and a couple others, including none. But I find that ordered works best both with file size and quality and performance. Use high quality color optimization. Again, that might take longer to render your final output, but I have it on. Then you can show GIF in Finder. So basically, once you save it and it finishes saving it, it will open Finder and in the folder where you've saved it. Some people will like that, some people don't. So you can always turn that off. I just leave it on. Mute video on open. So when you open a video like I just have, you can have it automatically muted. I leave that on because I want to be able to hear what people are saying to know where I'm getting the GIF from. Because I might say you're making a GIF of somebody making a weird face going, what? Well, it might be hard to sort of adjust it and edit out just that bit if you can't hear what they're saying. So I like to have the sound on while I'm editing. But if you find you don't really need that, you can always turn it off in preferences. We have play here. This just starts the video playing. This, by the way, is Night of the Living Dead. It's public domain now. That's why I'm using this video, because anybody can use it, change it, do whatever they want with it. So this is Night of the Living Dead, and as you see, play just sort of starts playing it. We can step back a frame, so you can go back one frame or forward one frame. Let me just show you. The more you click, the further in you go. It's actually not sort of showing it very well on that screen because not much is going on there. That's a better demonstration here. Back one frame. And the more you click it, the further you go. So if I click it, say 5 times, it'll go back 5 frames. If I just click it once, it'll go back once, and vice versa. Clip duration, as you can see in seconds, it's very, very long because here's the start point and this is the end point of where the GIF's got to end. Well, how do we make this GIF? Okay, let's say we want to start here. We can then hit set start. It will now start from this point right here where we are. Now we can play it and find where we want to stop. Okay, now we might not want it to go that far. So how do we easily sort of get it to the end here without trying to scroll and stuff? Well, we can hit back and hit back one at a time until we get it just where we want it. I'm clicking, click, click, click. Whoops. Now I can go forward 1, 2, 3. Whoops, 3's too much. I'm going to hit back just one time. There we go. Then I can hit set endpoint. There we go. Now it's very sort of jammed together here because it's such a short clip. Well, the way we can do that, once we've got the clip start point, out point started, set where we want it, we can then go to movie, toggle clip focus. And that sort of zooms in the timeline a bit, so we can see a little bit better what we're doing here. And also when we hit play, it will start just from the play point. Unfortunately, it will then keep going past the stop point. So let me just show you. There, you see, we've gone past our stop point, but he's still playing until you press pause. That's a pity. That's the only thing I don't like about this program. I prefer if when we're in clip focus mode, if we hit play, it starts at the start point and immediately stops playing by itself at the stop point. Unfortunately, it doesn't do that yet, but maybe that will be changed in a bug fix. It's not a big deal. I just thought it's worth pointing out. Now, what else can we do from here? Well, let's have a look at some of the options up here. We have create a GIF. That is when you want to output the final thing. Let's just leave it for now. We can view individual frames that are used within the GIF clip. As you can see, it has 12 frames, resolution, and there's each of the frames, and we can scroll down and see all the individual frames. Quite handy. You know, maybe you need to use that. I haven't actually ever needed to use that, but it's there if you need it. Preview. Let's just click that. It will render a basic preview that will not necessarily look like the final thing, because this isn't taking in all the color optimizations and various other things. This is basically just previewing the loop, just so you get a rough idea of where it starts, stops, and if there's text on it, you'll see the text. It's a very basic preview, not necessarily going to be exactly like the final output, because like I say, there's other things taken into consideration in the final file, such as color optimizations, which are not being previewed here because it'd take too long to render, and this is meant to be a very quick preview. So we can go OK on that. This button here looks a lot like a full screen button, like you'd expect to use for doing this, but that is not what it is. It's resized like we did at the beginning, which was under this menu. Then there's crop, which is also under the movie menu. We then have this one here, which is text. It looks like a speech bubble. You might think it would be to add a speech bubble or various stickers, but it's not. It's a very odd symbol to use, I think, personally, but that's where you get to text. We can then type in the text. I'm just going to leave it what it is. We can click here, and it gets up the standard OS 10 dialog for selecting a font and font size. We can also apply a stroke, so we can have an outline around the text. So we could say have the text white but with a black border around the letters. That is quite handy to make your text stand out a little bit from the background. We can also justify it left, center, right align. We can also change the fill color. So like I say, we could make maybe the text green and then a blue border, whatever you want to do. You change your border color here, your stroke color is down here, and your fill color for the actual text is up here. Let's just do that a sec. There we go. And we can click and drag around wherever we want on the image. If we go to preview, the text does show in the preview. That is one thing that does show up in the preview. We can then view text and image overlays. If we click here, this is our text we've added. There it is. We can add more, or we can remove it from here. We can show and hide it with the little box here. We can apply a fade in and fade out amount, which is really neat. We can change the blending mode a bit like you can in Photoshop with layers. The opacity of the layer here as well. Now, what if we want to have the text start and stop at certain points? So say you had a 10-second clip. Well, what if you wanted it to be, say, appear 4 seconds in, then disappear about 8 seconds in? Well, this is where you do it. You would play your video, get it to where you want it to start. So say we wanted to start here, we'd go here, although of course this is outside of our clip boundary, so it wouldn't be rendered. But say this part here was within the clip duration, we could hit set start time. Then if we wanted it to end here, we hit set out time there. Now you can see here that this text appears 14 seconds or 14 minutes in, I think, and then that's where it ends. So that is how you easily make some text appear part way in a clip, then go away at a certain point as well. Very, very handy. I love that feature. Okay, then lastly we have preferences. This is basically what we saw under preferences, but what's the difference? Well, in this dialog here, this is to set up your default preferences that will be applied each time you open the program, create a new project, whatever. It will use this as the default basis for that file, but you can always go here and change it for this individual project. So we could make this one say 24 frames a second. That doesn't change this. If we created a new project, it would still start at 12, but this one is now 24. I think you know what I'm trying to get at here. Okay, so there, 12. We can calculate frame count and delay, or we can untick this and we can manually put in a frame count and our delay in milliseconds here if we wanted to. Loop type, a few options there. I tend to leave it on normal. I find that works fine, but it depends if how the clip is looping. Maybe it won't look right. Maybe you want to adjust it there. This is also how you can add a loop count. So do you want it to loop basically indefinitely, just over and over and over and over again, or do you want it to loop just once or twice? And do you want a bit of a delay? So do you want it to pause before it loops, then loop the clip, and then pause, loop the clip, etc.? You can set it all up here. Optimize GIF colors. As I mentioned in the main preferences, I tend to leave that on and have it at a color count of 64, and ordered enhanced optimization. Now let's look at the file menu. We've seen this, it's pretty standard. About box here. Latest version at the time of making this review is 3.0, which is what I'm using. It is purchasable from the Mac App Store, so that's a good way to keep it up to date as well. We can create a new project here using a video or a new screen recording. We can open a project we saved before, save this as a project, duplicate, rename, move to, revert to. Edit, standard edit menu. Movies where we can resize or crop. Let's have a look at crop. Here we go. We can select a crop size and crop or cancel. It'd be nice if you could have perhaps a crop overlay here, such as a rule of thirds, just to help you line stuff up, but not necessary. It's not necessary, but it might be a nice touch. Rotate the image. We can mirror the image, and under rotate, we could also straighten the image if we needed to. Reset the video, jump 5 seconds forward, 5 seconds back. So that's like this, but this moves 1 frame at a time. This option up here moves 5 seconds back, 5 seconds forward, so it's a bigger jump. We can toggle volume on or off. We can use clip focus, which is what we're in at the moment. And if we hit this again, we're out of clip focus, and then we're back into clip focus. GIF is where we can add some overlay. So I've showed you text overlay. We could also add an image overlay. So we could open an image file, say of a speech bubble or whatever. But there is no gallery. There's no sort of clip art things coming that come with it. So you would have to hit add image overlay and open your own file manually. Go to clip start, go to clip end, which is these options here as well. Set the clip start, set the clip end. That's here. Add current clip to save frames, choose an import color rectangle, reset. So we can select an area of colors we want to use. I never really do that. And there's set current clip properties as default, import properties from a file. We have some filters such as some basic blurs like Gaussian blur, color adjustment controls such as hue, vibrance, white point, which is quite advanced really for a GIF program. Color effect, invert the colors, monochrome, sepia tone, or add a vignette, some halftone, photo effects such as fade, noir, process. You can sharpen the image a little if you need to there. Stylize, add a comic effect or a line overlay, or remove all the filters if you've applied some. From create, we can preview, which is what we did from the menu bar. We can create our final GIF. We can export our GIF not just as a .gif, which is what you do here. You can also export it as a PNG or a .mp4 movie file. View, you can hide the toolbar, which I don't think you really want to do very often. Customize the toolbar, toggle GIF property, so basically a way of opening and closing that. And ways to open and close your frame and overlay here, enter full screen, which is what you can do with the green button. Windows standard window, help is a standard help window. And that's about it. So let's create our final GIF. Create GIF from current clip. Okay, that is what the final GIF looks like. Now, why does the text not fade in and come in and disappear? That's because, of course, I didn't do it properly because I was just demonstrating. Basically, I had the start point set before the clip even started and the out point set as after the clip finished. So it disappears across the whole thing. But had I set it up properly, that would like appear a few seconds in, then disappear a few seconds before the clip ended, etc. That is not making a mistake. It's fine. We can share it here to things like email or to copy to clipboard, or we can save it as our final .gif, and basically that just gets a standard save dialog up, which you then select like picture folder, downloads folder, wherever you want to put it, desktop, whatever, then hit save, normal sort of save dialog. Down here it tells you that it will probably be approximately 1.1 megabytes in size, and it will be 640 by 480. And if we click on it, we can see what color is being used. So this is our color palette. In this case, it's all black and white and gray, so there isn't much to see. But if there was red, green, blue, yellow, it would show the various tones and stuff here. And I'm just going to cancel that. That rendering was not in real time, just to speed up this review, but it didn't take long because it's a small GIF. It's only about 0.93 seconds long. It's black and white, not much to it, so it did render pretty quick. It will depend upon your GIF's length, how many colors are in it, etc., how long it will take to render. So depending upon your settings and the file being used and what you're outputting, it could take a while, but it is worth it. And I can't stress enough how great this program is, because yes, there's a few things to bear in mind, like it only opens a few file formats, it pretty much just MP4s, it won't open MKVs, etc. But a lot of programs on Mac don't, because they rely on Apple frameworks, and Apple frameworks don't support things like MKV. But apart from that, this is by far the best interface, by far the best video to GIF making software I have ever used. I've used a few, and most of them have clunky interfaces, not enough features, or normally a bit of both. This has plenty of features, and I love the interface, and it's so easy to use. The only suggestion I have is when you're in clip focus and you play, I really think it should start at the green point and automatically pause at the red point, whereas at the moment it starts at the green point and just keeps going. So I really recommend it. Its full retail price will be, probably by the time you're watching this, $5. So it's not too much, because I've seen programs that do an equal job to this, equal type of job to this, or actually some programs I've seen before have been a basic thing, such as a basic text editor or whatever, that might be a clone of TextEdit that costs like $10 or $15 or something. Well, this program is really, really good, quite full featured, and does a great job and easy to use for $5. So its price is just right. A great program. I couldn't recommend it enough. If you want to make GIFs from video files, this is the one to get. GIF Brewery 3, available from the Mac App Store. I will include a link in the description. And if you could please like and comment on this video, and if you could do me a huge favor and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because it only takes a few seconds to do and will help me out a lot. Thanks.